Good afternoon, everybody. It's KB5 MIQ Big Boy. We're going to try to continue our part two of our VHF 2-meter use with repeaters. Hopefully, it helps some new hams that are understanding it a little better. I'm going to try to explain things as simple as I can. And one thing you're going to obviously figure out real quick that many moons ago I failed art in elementary school. So let's look at a couple things here. Like I mentioned earlier, if you're talking talkie to talkie, which is straight ground wave line of sight difference, you're probably only going to get a couple of miles distance between two hand talkies. Most of them are 5 watts. Some of these newer ones are 8 watts, but terrain is really going to make a big deal on it. The only way you'll get anything much further than that if you're in a desert or a salt flat. By the same token, if you're talking mobile to talkie or vice versa. Now, you will probably hear the mobile operator a lot further because he's running a 50-watt radio on average with a better antenna, probably a full quarter wave or even a 5/8 wave antenna. He won't hear you as far as you'll hear him, but it's still a ground wave signal. Now, bringing repeaters into the play with talkies. You got a talkie on either side of the repeater, and if the repeater is high enough in the air, that's the key on repeaters, is the taller they are, the better they work. I'm going to say on the average with a talkie, 300-foot repeater plus, you ought to be able to hit it 20 miles away, 10 at least. And if you can hit a repeater from 10 miles on this side of it, a talkie on 10 miles on the other side of it should be able to answer you with no problem. Now, repeaters are broke down. You've got a tower with antenna. You have an input frequency and an output frequency. And on the repeater controllers, you have a duplexer, the transmitter receiver, and a controller. Now, like I said in the earlier videos, repeaters work on 2 meters with a 600 kilohertz offset. That's to get the input frequency far enough from the output frequency so there's no interference. And that's what the duplexer also does, is processes the incoming signal so they don't hear each other. And it does it simultaneously. And the controller is a big part of that. I'm not going to get to the electronics part of it because I'm sure I'll mess it up. Somebody will correct me. But a repeater listens on one frequency and outputs on another frequency simultaneously. So if you look up a repeater in a book, and like 147.20 is the output frequency of the repeater, that's what you'll hear it on. But when you key the mic, it'll be a 600 kilohertz offset on your transmit frequency that your radio does automatically. So once you figure that out, you won't have any problem with it. Also, repeaters, most of them nowadays have a PL tone, which when you look up a repeater, let me see how well this is going to show up. Repeater book is the ideal thing to put an app on your phone. We used to buy these books, but you set your location, and I got this one set at 10 miles, and it's showing 3 repeaters 10 miles of my location. So we're going to pick up this 147.20. This repeater it's a 2-meter band repeater. The receive frequency is 147.20. Your transmit is 147.80, which is 600 kilohertz up, offset plus 600. The PL tone is a PL tone of 100 that you'll have to put into with it for it to turn the repeater on, or repeater won't ever let you access it. This repeater is also linked to the 146.62 machine in Texarkana, which means if you talk on the 147.20 machine, it's going to bring up the 6.2 machine in Texarkana, which really extends the range of it. So that's something you need to remember in talking with linked systems. Some repeaters are linked with others through the Freedom Link system, which really extends your range. Now, repeaters are there for everybody to use. Like I said in the earlier video, ham clubs put them up and maintain them. So if you got to make a donation to your ham club or join one, pay dues, whatever you need to do. But they're made for everybody to use, and a lot of people do spend a lot of time rag chewing on them, but for the most part, people use them, they say their information, and go on and get out of the way with them. Repeaters, as everyone I've seen, has a timeout set, which means once you key the mic, you've set an internal clock on that repeater. And if it's set to time out at, say, a minute and a half, if you're still talking, it's going to shut you off right then and there. So that's to keep people being too long-winded on them. Repeaters, the lingo for repeaters is just get on there and talk on it. Use your call sign. Don't call CQ. If you want to get on to see if anybody wants to talk, key it up, throw your call sign out there. And if somebody's around, they'll answer you. If you want to check, now a lot of them don't like you to kerchunk their repeater, but to tell if you got it programmed right, see if I can hit this one.
Welcome to the KE5VHF repeater.
That repeater's got a voice ID on it. And I was able, that repeater's 28 miles from me, and I'm sitting in my house and able to get into it. Now, one thing everybody that's got talkies needs to remember. Quarter wave VHF, I can't remember it off the top of my head, but you can look it up, it'll tell you. So these talkie antennas are not full-length antennas. They're wound with wire in a coil to make the radio think it's talking on a resonant full-length antenna. This antenna here for these Bayo phones is an option, makes them work a lot better, and it extends the range on them a little bit. So you need to remember that when you put a duck and the rubber duck antenna, the shorter they are, they'll still work because the radio is going to see a good antenna, but it may not be the best antenna because it's not got that much extra length on it. It's just a coil of wire in there. The term I was missing in yesterday's, the other VHF Part 1, is coordinated repeater. It's like with the Texas Repeater Association, they coordinate all these repeaters. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong on here. I don't think it's an FCC rule that you have to be coordinated. But if you put a repeater up that's not coordinated and it's causing problems with a coordinated repeater, I'm pretty sure the FCC is going to side with the coordinated repeater. Like I said earlier, that repeater we put up years ago that we put up on the Oklahoma band playing here in Texas, quiet, worked great, but it wasn't coordinated. And you really need to keep them coordinated to keep peace in the hobby and keep everybody happy with how we're doing things. Look up repeaters in the repeater book itself. Now, I did notice on this app, let me check something. Because there's usually some acronyms on these repeaters that will tell you if it's a wide coverage repeater or what all it's able to do. Let's increase the distance, see if we can find something else that's let this sound okay. If I can find this one out of Shreveport. There's a repeater out of Shreveport that is 1,200 feet in the air on the Channel 12 television tower. And in the repeater book, it's got an acronym out by it saying it is a wide coverage repeater. But I'm going to see if it put the acronyms as put in these apps. Now I can't find that repeater. Let's see. Y'all bear with me a minute. Like I said, y'all know I don't use a script doing these things anyway. Can't believe I can't find that repeater. All right, let's just look at 8.4. Okay, the 8.4 machine has battery, solar, e-power, remote base, weather. It's Freedom Link system. It's linked to a bunch of different repeaters, full-time seamless connect with Texarkana, Karnak, Texas, Atlanta, Texas, air, east, sky warn during inclement weather. open communications during non-threatening weather conditions. Link, Freedom Link system. So that's good. Anytime you pull up one of these repeaters, it'll tell you everything about it in this little app that used to be just printed out in the book. The app's easier to carry around. It's a free app. I'm not even sure they still produce the book anymore. And it also brings up, like, here's a repeater, Echo Link, North Central Texas Connection System, supposed to be Echo Link. It's a 440 machine. Gives you all the information on it right there in that app. What else am I going to try to cover on 2 meter repeaters? I'm sure there's something I'm forgetting here. But when you talk, like I said, don't call CQ. They're mainly set aside for emergency traffic. There's one thing HF operators do. We'll say break to try to get in a conversation on HF. But they say do not use the term break on a repeater because it signifies emergency communications. Just say, hey, radio check, whatever you need to do to get in the information or break in their conversation. Don't use 10 codes. That's not used in our CB lingo. Just talk in plain English. Use your call sign. The repeater's going to ID every so often. Try not to time it out when you get on these things. Everybody's got a smartphone. Put the repeater book out. Learn how to program your radio good. If you got any questions on that, like I said, contact me direct on QRZ. My email's posted. Enjoy this hobby. If it's all you can do, I see a lot of people getting on ham saying they shouldn't be starting out with just a bale phone. That's all they got. If that's all you got to start out with, go for it. Use it. Carry it with you wherever you go. I carry one traveling constantly. Another good thing with a repeater book, if you know you're going to make a trip, sit down before you set the trip. Look at all the cities you go through. Program them into your phone. Not your phone, and your talkie. And even on Chirp, it gives you an option to label it. Like I make a trip about once a month from Sherman through Gainesville to Azle, Texas. And I just sit there and I got them named Sherman, Gainesville, Azle, whatever town I'm in, bottom. I can pull them up as I go through it. Makes it a lot easier while you're driving and how to remember numbers. Well, where's the 14684 at? If you just look at your labeling on your talkie, you know where you're at. Chirp software will do that for you. All you new hams, enjoy this hobby. Don't pay no attention to naysayers. Got a question? Ask somebody. That's the main thing. I've preached this in the military all my career. There's no dumb questions. This is KB5MIQ, Big Boy. Thanks to all subscribe to the channel. We're seeing some more increases in my subscriptions, and I really appreciate it. I do this to promote the hobby. Our nightly roundtable, we're usually Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday nights on 28450, about 7:45 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you ever hear us on there, please check in. We encourage that. We enjoy that. That's why we do that. It's not a formal net. It's just what we call a roundtable discussion amongst some friends, and we encourage people checking in with us. Again, thanks for all who subscribe. It's KB5MIQ, Big Boy, 73.